Hey, take me to University of Chicago.
Squad, we have a PO shot.
Yeah, so my name is Dan Burnelle, owner of Grizzly Medical, lead instructor. And so my company started, my background, I was a medic in the U.S. Army, went overseas to Iraq, and that's kind of where this program started for me. Was a couple of our medics went down, so we had to leave our soldiers in sector without a medic while they stayed on ECPs. And so one of my biggest fears was somebody getting hurt and I wouldn't be able to get there to them. So I would train my soldiers before they left the wire and teach them advanced techniques. And so after that, our chain of command heard about it. And so then they put us in charge of joint training missions with the Peshmerga and the Iraqi police, their medics. So that's where it started. After that, I came back to the US and at Fort Hood, Texas, started working at the Mystic Center, which is actually where soldiers go before they deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan to get there. At the time, it was called CLS, which turned into TCCC. After that, I left the military, started private contracting overseas, teaching pistol rifle trauma medicine to NATO base in Eastern Europe. Yeah, so that brings us back to warm zone, cold zone, hot zone. So hot zone, very dynamic situations, things are gonna be happening really fast. You know, somebody who's defending themselves and we're actually helping the attacker. You know, there's a lot of things to think about. So that's a hot zone where things are very dynamic. A warm zone, let's say we're away from the actual attack, like mass shootings happening, we're in a bathroom locked up. Freeway, we pull the body to the median. So let's say I find an injury here. I'm gonna put a tourniquet high and tight as possible, and then I'm gonna continue my blood sweep. The reason being is we need to find all the bleeding, because if I just stop one hole, now where's it all gonna go? The rest of them, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So high and tight as possible. I try and get up here if I can, get all in here, and I rake down. So that way, if he has any smaller holes, like let's say he got stabbed with an ice pick, or let's say a 22 caliber bullet. Also, when the blood hits the ground, if it's arterial, it's gonna form these little that's the best description I can have for it, is just these little globs of blood. So that's letting you know that this person is having an arterial bleed. All right, so how's that look? Let's say we walk in, someone's been injured, someone's been shot, someone's been stabbed. We come onto the scene and we see this much blood on the ground. What are you guys thinking? That this is a significant injury, right? All right, so the reality of this, that's how much blood you donate when you go to give blood at the Red Cross, okay? It's about half a liter of blood, okay? Is this a survivable injury? Yes. All right, so when we lose half a liter of blood, our mental status is going to be alert, full radio pulses. Heart rate is going to be normal, maybe slightly elevated. Why? Because someone's bleeding. They're probably not going to be okay with that. So they might have a slightly elevated heart rate. So when you lose a liter and a half, they're going to be alert and they're going to start to feel anxious. They're going to start to feel a little bit of anxiety. Their radial pulses are going to start to be weak. And when you do pick up a pulse, it's going to be moving 100 plus beats a second or minute. And respiration is going to be around 30, so it's going to be like they're jogging. So now we're going to talk about placing a tourniquet. We're going to talk about open versus closed. So this right now is a closed tourniquet. Why is it closed? Because it's stuck in the loop, right? So applying a closed tourniquet, let's say we identify a bleed down here, right? And we're in a hot zone, so we're not going to have time to expose the injury. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to place this sucker high and tight as possible, all right? While I'm here, before I even start turning this windlass, I want to make sure that I take all the slack out. Now we have this open tourniquet and we have our ribbon stretched out nice and tight. What I like to do is I grab this buckle, place it against my arm, and I put it underneath the limb. The next thing that I'm going to do is I shim it up. So the reason why I shim it, if this is twisted, if the tourniquet is twisted, I'll feel it. I'll feel something rubbing. The reason being, if I don't have it flush, the soft side against him, when I start cranking this windlass, it's not going to create that pressure, okay? So get it high and tight as possible. Put the red tip through the buckle. And what I like to do is I'm going to grab this sucker and I'm going to put it to my chest and I'm going to look at the ceiling. When your body gets so cold, what ends up happening is your blood makes it very hard for it to clot, okay? So no matter what you have, they're going to continue to hemorrhage if we don't prevent that. okay? And because our blood's hemorrhaging out, now our body's not getting oxygen, so we get hypoxia. So we want to make the easiest way to stop that snowball effect, because once it starts going, it's very, very difficult to stop or very difficult to treat. Even if it's 141 degrees, like when it was in Iraq, we would have to put blankets on people. We would have to shove people in sleeping bags because your body stops producing body heat, okay? So that's the biggest thing that people neglect to treat is hypothermia, and that could be one of the biggest things that, you know, next to actually stopping the hemorrhage, that's going to help somebody, is keeping them warm.
Boom, if you enjoyed that video, I want to invite you to the Civilian Protector Project. Online training, live meetings online and in-person training. It's for everybody. I look forward to welcoming you to our community. ProtectorNation.com, let's go.